will get us started. Let's go.
Okay, so good evening, fans from around the world. Basically, today we are going to be talking about an issue between Nigeria and China. It's more or less like tensions. Nigeria had an agreement through the Ogun State, based on the agreement for a Chinese company to build a free trade zone. And the Chinese company was seen not to have, taken their own contractual agreements. And they went ahead, I don't know, for one reason or the other, to seize Nigeria's assets on planes, that belong to the Nigeria presidential fleet, were seized by a French court. Airbus belongs to France. So
Okay.
it has created a lot of friction between Nigeria and China. And that is
Okay,
the
but
basis of our discussion. Mustafa, you're
Afolabi, but
welcome.
here's the
Saeed,
question.
you're welcome as well.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. But here's the question, Afolabi.
Yeah.
It's a Chinese company, but what about the Airbus? That's French. So it's a cooperation.
Yes, it's a cooperation, yes.
Yeah, so this goes to show you people, man. You see that China and France are working together corporately. People always say, oh, China is enemy with USA and France. Business is business. But my main question here now is, it was a French court. How is a French court able to seize Nigerian assets? How are they able to do it? The reason I ask that is because if Nigeria has assets and it's a sovereign country, how is it able for their stuff to be seized?
You are
To me, it
absolutely
means
right. Even Nigeria is complaining now that Nigeria's government argues that the assets targeted by a Chinese company are protected by sovereignty, like you
yeah, but
rightly
here's my
mentioned.
question. But here's my question. If the US has assets and Nigeria says we're going to seize it, US will say, no way, and you can't seize it. So my question is, how does China and France have the power to seize Nigerian assets? This is the main question. That means that the assets are in dollars, which are controlled by, and this is why Nigeria needs to have its own currency outside of BRICS. Because if I have my money and you say you're going to seize it, you have to fight me and I'm going to punch you. So my question is, how is it that Nigerian assets are able to be seized by foreign countries? You see what I'm saying?
The problem with Nigeria and
No, but let's focus on that. The question I'm asking, I'm talking about the mechanism. How is it that they were able to seize the assets?
That is what I'm saying. It's naturally, it shouldn't be possible. But Nigeria is number one debtor to China because of their bilateral relationship with China. They've entered into all sorts of complex illegal agreements to borrow money that is not transparent. So nobody even knows the details. So it appears Nigeria has been doing shady deals behind China, and they now see that Nigeria is trying to take advantage of that, and then they now proceed to a French court to seize the assets, which is not even right.
Here's the thing. You can't seize my assets unless you're more powerful than me. If I have my assets, how are you able to seize it? Which means that those assets never belong to Nigeria overall. I'll give you a perfect example. When the Russian war started with the US, Russia had US dollar reserves. The US can block it because it's not Russian reserve. You understand what I'm saying? But the US cannot steal Russian money. They can't seize Russian money. It means Nigeria, we don't have our own money. That's what I'm saying. What are your thoughts, Saeed?
Yeah. Good afternoon once again. So my thoughts about it, concerning the question he asked, that how is it possible? So from my own observation, I think why it can be possible for them to carry out such recovery is because this Nigerian asset is currently in France. I think the airplane is still in France.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So
the
actual plane is the wealth. Yeah, it's the wealth.
Yeah. So they are trying. I think they are just trying to play smart, which is good for me. Because they know that if they should try to ask for a refund or probably some of this property, if they go to Nigeria now and say, oh, we want to seize this, or go to Nigerian court, of course we know they can't get justice.
Yeah.
You get me? So they know that if they do that abroad and some of our assets abroad, you see what's happening now. So just like the case again, I don't know if you're familiar, there is another property of Nigeria in London that I think they're trying to get to, probably to hold on to that, if Nigeria will pay back to, still on this same issue,
Yeah,
because I read
yeah.
it somewhere too.
And also, I agree with.
So,
Now, my second point is, personally, I believe, because I know Nigeria, I think Nigeria is at fault here. We did not honor our obligations with China and France, and
exactly,
corruption. You give somebody a contract and you don't deliver. So I don't feel sorry for Nigeria on this
exactly.
one. What do you think, Syed?
No, I don't feel sorry for Nigeria. You have to pay now. Like, you're going by going by the contractual agreement they had.
Yeah.
I was reading somewhere on one tabloid that the social agreement was signed in 2015 or 2014 thereabouts. So you know how Nigerian government normally plays their blaming
Yeah.
game. So now they're trying to blame the previous government, that they're the one who did not make the agreement to come to life. Whereas it's another case. All this while, all this government, they can't tell me they don't know what's going
Yeah.
on.
And there's
So
something you said last week.
I don't think they're
Continue.
trying to. I don't think they're trying to fulfill that agreement. They're just trying to drag it as long as they can, probably till another government comes in. Then that one
Hello,
will
I sent the
take it
link.
from there.
Yeah.
So I think that's just it. Like, the
Oh, don't.
best thing for this
Okay, don't worry. I'm in the
Chinese
show, but you can't
company
make
to
it. Don't
do
worry.
is to take them to court abroad. And that's why you can see that they are going after our properties abroad, so that they can actually fulfill or probably refund their money as much as they
Yeah,
can get.
and this is
So I
corruption.
think
So
it's the right thing to do.
this is corruption, and it's a lesson. We can't continue doing this. Even within Nigeria, you give somebody a contract to build roads, they don't do it. And there's another thing that you said last time: the Nigerian constitution needs to change. The constitution doesn't just protect the rights of individuals; it needs to hold. Because people say, "Oh, it was the last government; it was their fault."
Exactly.
The Constitution needs to say, no matter which government is there, there needs to be anti-corruption. It has to be inside the Constitution.
we need a new constitution. Everybody
Yeah.
knows that.
Yeah.
I saw some of the patriots. I don't know, like, probably if you're following the news, there's some group of elders that went to visit Mr. President, and they told him that we need a new constitution. Guess what, Mr. President
Well,
said he's currently faced with the economic issue, that after he has solved the economic issue, then he can now think of
no, and
probably
you know what that's
new
like? That's
constitution.
like saying
Whereas,
you should.
wait,
Sorry, I hate to
hold on.
interrupt you.
Let me learn.
Yeah, yeah. It's like
Let me
saying
learn
you
this
should
first.
stand on your
Because
head. Stand on your head.
you get me. And
Yeah.
this economic issue we are having still boils down to constitution, because under this constitution, the system is rigged already. It's not,
Yeah.
as in there's so many loopholes in the constitution, which is giving room for this economic sabotage that we are having.
Yeah.
So if we can get a new constitution that the judiciary and our system can be, as in, if you can get it to like 70 to 80% working, you understand me? A
That's
lot of
better. That's
economic
better. That's better.
a lot of economic this thing will move. You get me? So let me not lie to you. Like I said, I doubt if something significant is going to come out in the next 3 years.
No,
We just
no,
have to
nothing's
wait
gonna
it
come
out
up.
till the next election.
And like what you said, he's talking about let's get the economy straight. He doesn't realize that the economy deals with the society and everything. It's not just economics. The
Yes,
foundation has to be first before you deal with your economy. You have to have a sound constitution so that there can't be.
the
Yeah,
economy is talking about, there is security underneath.
yeah,
The unity in the country now is under chaos. You hear Igbos and the Yorubas now dragging each other. Hausa now, they're now, every whatsoever argument that we bring up now, the government of the day will just tribalize it.
yeah.
You understand me? So the
I
unity
understand.
is not there anymore. So
It's not
that's
there.
why it's not just about it's not just about the economic issue anymore.
Yeah.
The unity of this country is not even there anymore.
So you have to take in every factor, economy,
Yeah.
social, culture, everything together. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts, Afolabi? Yeah.
Yeah, Nigeria has initiated both legal and diplomatic efforts to try and reclaim these assets. But
Yeah.
the truth of the matter is, federal government is making a very valid point. They say the relationship here is between the Chinese farm and Ogun State, and that China lacks the authority to, seize assets of Nigeria as a sovereign country when it's actually between a Chinese farm and Ogun State. But I feel that is rather, it shows how unserious we are. How can there be a relationship between Ogun State and a Chinese farm, and Nigeria as a country cannot prevail on the state to carry out their contractual obligations? They're saying that Ogun State lacks the authority to engage in international diplomacy independently. And Nigeria they've not tried on their own to see how Ogun State can meet their own.
But Afabi, they allowed Ogun State to do it, which means that under their legislative, they allowed it. And under the constitution, and I'm going to go back again, they have to take into idea that these assets were funded by China and France. And under legal law, even if you're a sovereign country, you can't go against international law that you've already entered agreements in. Continue.
Yes, absolutely. So, and I think the Chinese company is beginning to look at it that they may lose their money, and they're looking for a smart way, to recover their funds. That's why they've taken this step. And if you look
to me, they're being, because I know one thing about China. When China does something like this, they're not like the US or France, which do illegal things. When they do that, they play by the rules, even though they have the advantage. And somewhere along the line, someone in Nigeria was corrupt and didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Exactly.
And now China, and they're doing their thing. What are your thoughts, Saeed? Yeah. Thank you. This is a very good show, guys. I'm enjoying this show. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I think it's just the best move for the Chinese guys to do, like to go after our assets abroad, because they know that if they try that in Nigeria or any other African country, they won't get it. They won't get justice. They know that our judiciary is out of it. So let me know, like, I know at the end of the day, by the time federal government and the big players moving, they will come to some sort of agreement, because it's still gonna, like,
Nigeria,
some outside agreement is still gonna come
well,
up.
you know what? Somebody chopped money, and we don't know who it is, but somebody chopped money and messed up Nigeria.
Nigeria is going to end up paying up money for money that was chopped by someone in Ogun State before those assets are going to be released. At the end of the day,
and it's gonna affect the economy more, because when they pay it off,
absolutely,
they're gonna take it out on the citizens, less subsidies and things like that. Prices will go up.
Because the dispute comes at a very challenging time for Nigeria. We can ill afford this kind of problem. We're experiencing our worst economic crisis in decades, and China is our largest creditor. We have a lot of bilateral relationship with them. They source raw materials in Nigeria, and they give us loans with very good interest rates. So it's going to affect our relationship with China as a whole, and not just the Chinese company.
And also, even if you cheat China, even with the US, China controls, the US owes China trillions. Once they take out their capital investment, your country will collapse.
Exactly. So it's going to affect future foreign investments in Nigeria. It's going to affect future foreign investment, because by treating a Chinese company like this, it's going to discourage other Chinese companies that have the potential to bring in foreign direct capital.
Look what they did in Murtala Muhammad. They built those things, and they're investing money. So we have to be careful how we deal with them. And at some point, we don't need to be dependent on China or US or France. We need to have our own currency, our own sovereignty. But that's a story for another day. So we're going to end soon. This is a very good show. What are your last thoughts, Saeed? Then we'll go back to Afolabi.
My last thought about the China issue with Nigeria is that I don't know if our leaders watching, or probably anybody watching that can pass the message to them, they should try and settle it out of court, because it is an embarrassment to Nigeria as a whole. And if this thing can, if the China company can carry out this seizure, other companies will follow suit. That is my fear.
In other words,
my fear is other companies will want to follow suit. Now, if you guys can be successful with this, right? Because a lot of contract disputes, is there. Like
Yeah.
the Nigerian government and Nigerian state is not making sure it comes to life. So a lot
Yeah.
of all these agreements and contracts is there. So my fear is if this China company can be successful with it, you see other companies will be going the same routes. So
Yeah,
I hope our government do the right thing
yeah.
and
But on the other hand, hopefully, because it's very complicated, because once our economy is controlled by China or the US, they can do whatever they want to us. But also, it's a message to other companies. If you enter international agreements, make sure you honor them. So maybe the Nigerian companies will honor those
exactly.
things. It's very difficult. Thank you very much. Very beautiful show. What are your last thoughts, Afolabi, before we head out? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so sad because Nigeria's international reputation has been tainted. It has casted aspersion on our ability to, to do our bit whenever we're in contract agreements. And the problem here is that any foreign investment is going to be limited because of this kind of standoff.
Yeah.
Countries are not going to trust us anymore.
Yeah. They're not going
Exactly.
to tell us. Okay. Thank you. So I'm going to let you end, Afolabi, but that should be a message to us also that at some point we have to get rid of corruption and have our own constitution and also control our own resources so that we don't need outside investment. Take us out, Afolabi.
It still
Yeah.
boils down on corruption.
Yeah. And
Okay.
also,
Yeah.
what were you saying, Saeed? You can talk a little bit more because what you said
I
was
wanted to
interesting.
say, I wanted to say that what Said said about our constitution is absolutely right. Constitution should be framed in such a way that our leaders should be held accountable, especially when they leave office, so that this kind of mess, because I would imagine that this problem happened maybe during the Buhari regime, and it's been inherited by the Tinubu regime. So leaders need to be held accountable.
Jonathan regime.
Jonathan regime.
So, Jonathan regime.
So leaders need to be held accountable for this kind of mess, especially when they're out of office, so that at least the country can grow and get out of this kind of quagmire, basically.
Yeah, thank you. So very quickly, because Saeed, you were saying something interesting. So let Saeed finish off, then Afolabi can take us out for the last time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Saeed.
I'm just backing up what you said about
Oh yeah,
corruption
okay.
because everything still leads back to corruption. Because
It's
if
corruption.
there
Yeah,
is no
and
corruption and there's no loophole that all these our politicians are banking on and are using to bypass bypass the system. So that is more reason why I still insist on that new constitution, because
yeah,
with
and
the
I
new
agree.
constitution, all these loopholes will be blocked.
Yeah, you have to have a very solid constitution. Very quickly, I'll say Cuba has a very solid constitution and it's unambiguous and it's straightforward. You don't have to have too many words. You have to have clear rules.
Yeah,
Finish.
straight. Yeah,
Finish.
clear rules.
Yeah, finish.
Straight.
Thank you. So beautiful show. We're gonna be back next week. I love this. I love it. Saeed, thank you for joining our team. Beautiful show. I like your shirt, orange too. I like it. All right.
Thank
so
you.
I thought I'd take us out. Yeah.
Okay, it's been a wonderful show. It's always wonderful to talk about your country, Nigeria. Myself, Saeed and Mustafa, we're all Nigerians, although we all reside in different parts of the world. We'll see you next time on this wonderful show. Good afternoon, everybody.
God bless everybody. It's time for EPL. Okay,
all right.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.